you're gonna break into. On you.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, hope you're doing all right. We got a busy show scheduled for today. But first, the show's being brought to you in part by Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. Give him a call today, 845-221-4099, 845-221-4099. 4099. Let Camp and Aaron Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. The show's also being brought to you in part by my friends down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Hey, man, if you like cool people to hang with, if you like drink specials all the time, if you like live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights, and if you like to stuff your face with some fantastic food, then you're going to love the Halftime Bar and Grill. Check them out. You can call for directions or reservations, 518-792-4869, 518-792-4869. What we got going on today? Yeah. What's going on today is we got, first and foremost, we're going to have a heavyweight spotlight with Tony Treem, the man himself. We're going to be talking about Ken Norton, and that was requested by a viewer or a listener. So we'll be talking about Kenny Norton a little bit. We also got coming up tomorrow, we have Alex Papali, and we're going to be presenting the Blast from the Past, the Flushing Flash himself, Kevin Kelly. And we'll be talking about him. Later in the week, we got Marty Mulcahy with his wisdom, infinite wisdom. We got, what else we got going on? We got, I wanted to tell you, whoever missed yesterday's Talk to Me, man, missed a pretty interesting show. For all of those of you that want to watch it. Now, of course, this show is available all over the place, radio, television, YouTube, podcast, BillyCBoxing.com, you name it. You can get your grubby little paws on this show on a daily basis. The Talk to Me Man show, you got to tune in live Mondays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on BillyCBoxing.com, or you can become a premium podcast subscriber and enjoy all of our content as the premium podcast subscribers do. Now, there's a couple of ways to subscribe. The easiest way is to visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and on the left-hand side, you see a fight poster that says Billy C Premium. Click it, and all the info will be there. All the shows are there, how to sign up, and all that stuff. So do that. As far as the Talk to Me Man show, you got to mark it down, be part of that. That's driven by you, the boxing fan, with your emails and your phone calls. We open up the phone line, even though we were having some phone line issues yesterday. Not like the issues we have here, but some different ones. If you want to email us for the Talk to Me Man show, it's talktome@BillyCBoxing.com. Talktome@BillyCBoxing.com. Don't forget, we got the shows that we're going to be doing this weekend live. The first one is going to be Saturday from Miami. We got a cruiserweight division main event, and then next Saturday, Sal Sinicola is going to be setting not only a boxing record, but a Guinness Book of World Records for being a fighter that enters the ring after the longest layoff, 25 years. And we'll be broadcasting both of these shows right at you on LDL TV. So check it out, www.ldltv.com for all the information. One last thing I want to plug here, and I started to do it yesterday, was there's this new movie coming out. And it's obviously about boxing. And it's about a British Olympian that fought 100 years ago. If you've always wanted to get into the movie business and you want to get involved with a project from the ground floor up, now's your chance. Go visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and on the right-hand side, you'll see a banner that says The Wilderness Project. That's all about the movie, what it's about, the beautiful writer and director of this thing. I hope I get to meet her someday. All of the stuff that you want to know and why you want to be involved. Click that. It'll take you to the Jumpstart, or I should say Kickstart thing that they got. They got a demo of the movie. They have a whole write-up, the history of it, everything. Check it out. Take a couple of minutes to do that. You won't regret it. We got some emails to read, and I got a few. We got some news to talk about. We have updated rankings. As far as the Billy C Challenge goes, we will be updating those. I am not sure that we will get to do the Billy C Challenge. We will be able to do it this week for the first week in April, but the following week we may get a week off. So I will keep you posted on that for all you challengers. And for all of you challengers that haven't been taking the time to submit your picks, anybody that's missed more than 4 weeks, we're removing you from the list because it's we don't need to. We only want the serious players only to win the prizes and stuff. So it just makes life a lot easier for me to get you off the list. So sorry, you had every opportunity to be involved. If you want to get involved again, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and we'll start you from scratch. I got an email from my man Alex T, more commonly known as the other Alex, and he says, this is about Kevin Kelly. He says, great fighter to do a feature on. Talking about a good TV fighter who was better than Kevin Kelly. Here's a guy who had all the tools to be a cutie and could have won a lot of fights just by boxing, but he loved to mix it up. His fights with Troy Dorsey. I remember watching Troy. He was like a karate or a kickboxing champion that was one of the only guys that made it over successfully, and I believe he became a champion of sorts in boxing, but a tough guy. His fights with Troy Dorsey and Alejandro Gonzalez are forgotten classics. And his 1996 win over Derek Smoke Gaynor, that was a great fight, is one of my favorites of all time. He says, I would beg any boxing fan to watch that Gaynor fight on YouTube if you've never seen it. He says, everyone knows about the fight he had with Nassim Hamed, and it's every bit as exciting 16 years later as it was when it happened. But that is only one of the many exciting fights Kevin Kelly was in. Man, talk about cherry-picking fights. Kelly fought everyone. Barrera, Morales, Hamed, Carlos Hernandez, Gaynor, Humberto Soto, Jesus Solard, Cobrieta Gonzalez, Luis Espinoza, Bones Adams. I forgot about the Bones Adams fight. Jesse Benavides, Gregorio Vargas, Troy Dorsey, etc. He says, Billy, that's 13 guys right there who are either current, former, or future champions. Is Kevin Kelly Hall of Fame worthy? I think so, but I'm afraid he'll never get in. Great email. Kevin Kelly is like Marlon Starlin. He's one of these guys that definitely had the pedigree and probably won't get in. For whatever reason. A lot of these Hall of Fames have the wrong people involved with it, the wrong people that are making the decisions, in my opinion. Like some of the boxing people, like the Boxing Writers of America Association. Being a good writer doesn't make you a good boxing writer, in my opinion. I think you need to know the sport more, and this may sound weird, but I think you need to know the sport a little more than you need to know how to write, if you know what I mean. But I don't know. That's a matter of opinion. Hey, I got to take a short break. When I come back, I got a few more emails. We got one we're going to get deep into, but all of that's coming up in about 2.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Viselli Enterprises. Viselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Viselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RiselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the ideal computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV, or you're watching us live right now on BillyCBoxing.com if you're up early in the morning, or if you're on the other side of the pond, I guess it's in the afternoon, or if you're on the West Coast, you're just getting in, you drunken bastard. But anyway, hey, if you are listening live, get into the chat room. Just visit the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. And on the left-hand side, click chat. And come on in there. We got my man Chatty Factory in the chat room. He's got a comment about the fight. He said he thought Rios won. I don't know, man. I picked Rios, but I thought that Alvarado won it fair and square. I thought it was a close fight, for sure. But I thought Alvarado did enough to win. I think Rios stopped throwing punches. You know, if you missed the Talk to Me Man show yesterday, Chatty, I don't know if you saw it or not, or anybody else, but you got to be a premium podcast subscriber to listen to those Talk to Me Man shows. Great stuff yesterday. Great stuff. We had some fun yesterday, man. It was pretty. Actually, we had a lot of fun. It was probably too much fun, too much joking around yesterday, but it was funny. Definitely worth the listen. My man T. Bruce, I thought we lost him forever because he's such a big Hay fan, and he's got 2 points here, and one of them is about David Hay. But he says, I've been procrastinating on sending this to you. He says, but I wanted to say something about Rios, and I have to respond to this before I get into that. I want to see Vitaly fight a real opponent. David Hay is the only fight out there for him. Hay is the most dangerous opponent, the biggest name, and dominated a guy Vitaly just struggled against. Oh, and dominated a guy that Vitaly just struggled against. You missed the word that, but he says it's enough to get him the fight. He earned a title shot just from his performance against, and I guess he's referring to Chisora. Hell, he earned a title shot just from being the only real opponent that Vitaly can fight. Is it an automatic title shot? Not only that, but they don't even have to fight for the title. They just need to fight. You know, I happen to have glanced over this because he emailed it to me, and I had a chance to look at it. And you know, first of all, we just put our updated rankings up. We had them updated last week, but we didn't post them. So we actually did the changes for this week's fights that took place and stuff. So we have them up there. And in the heavy, and if you're curious to see our rankings, they're non-biased, and I think you'll agree with them. Our staff, our panel is pretty. We don't just because somebody has some title doesn't necessarily mean they're in our top 10. We rank them on the guy who beat the guy, similar to when I was involved with the ring rankings before it became Oscar De La Hoya's show. Our heavyweight division right now, our top 10, just so you know, Vladimir number 1, Vitaly number 2, Pacquiao number 3, against my wishes, okay, but our panel has him at number 3. Tomas Adamek number 4. Areola, number 5. Tyson Fury, number 6. We do have a David Hay at number 7. Robert Helenas at number 8. Kubrat Pulov at number 9. Tony the Tiger Thompson moved into the 10th spot with his win over David Price. Now, just to show you the next 5, number 11 is Chisora. Number 12 is Jennings. Number 13, Ruslan Shagayev. Number 14, Jonathan Banks. And number 15 is Orlandier Solis. Now, the reason why I mention that is because my man T. Bruce feels that there's no one out there for Vitaly to fight except David Hay. Now, first of all, we don't know if Vitaly is going to continue his career or not. We don't know if he's going to move on get into the politics or whatever. But if you take a look, and I took the time I spent a little time this morning dissecting his record here a little bit. And first of all, the computer ranks him at number 1, which I found kind of interesting. They rank him above Vladimir, which I am shocked about how they come out with that. Maybe because he's the older brother. I don't know. But he's ranked number 1 by the computer. His record is 45 wins, 41 coming by knockout. He's only got 2 losses, and the last loss came at the hands of Lennox Lewis. That was 10 years ago, in March of 2003. I'm sorry, in June of 2003. He had fought 13 times since then, all title fights with the exception of 1, and that includes the 4-year layoff that he had. All right, between 2004 and 2008, a little less than 4. Who's he fought? All top, 1 top 5 contender. Everybody else was number 1 or a champion. He fought Corey Sanders, who was a former champ, was ranked in the top 5. Danny Williams was ranked in the top 5. Samuel Peter was the champion. Juan Carlos Gomez was a former cruiserweight champion moving up. Chris Arreola was a number 1 contender. Kevin Johnson was ranked, but I'll give you that he was kind of a bum. Albert Sosnowski showed us that he was a lot tougher than we thought. Shannon Briggs, world champion. Orlando Solis was in the best shape of his professional career that night. Had an unfortunate knee injury. Tomas Adamek, he beat him. Derek Chisora gave him a tough fight. And, of course, his last fight will give him the pass on Manuel Char. He's 6'7", 79-inch reach, 235 rounds as a pro. And my man T. Bruce feels that David Haye is the only guy out there for him. First of all, I think that by having a career like I just mentioned, Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko really could fight anybody he wants, and we shouldn't complain. Now, when I look at the heavyweight division, and if I wanted to pick a guy in the top 10, I don't believe that David Haye immediately has the automatic right to fight this guy. And I'll tell you why. First of all, David Haye has fought 6. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 heavyweight fights. 6. Okay? 6. You know, and everybody always tells me about David Haye. Oh, he was he cleaned up the cruiserweight division. Really? When I was looking at the cruiserweight division this morning, I'm sitting there, and he cleaned up the European side of the cruiserweight division. Now, granted, the cruiserweight division wasn't crystal clear of who was in charge and everything else during the time he did it, but he never did fight Krzysztof Lazarek, who was the fight and still is the guy in the cruiserweight division. He got knocked out for his first title shot for the IBO's world cruiserweight title when Carl Thompson knocked him out in 5 rounds. People want to forget about that. They shoved that fight under the carpet. Carl Thompson, was a mediocre fighter at best. When you look at all the cruiserweights that he fought since then, with the exception of a couple of guys that had good European records, and with Giacobi Fragomeni, who was a top guy. The only real fighters he beat was Enzio Macronelli and Jean-Marc Mormac, okay, I'll give him credit for that. He moves into the heavyweight division in 2008, fights Monty Barrett. Monty Barrett drops him in that fight, right? Didn't he drop him in that fight? He comes back, he knocks out Monty Barrett. Okay, he gets 1 heavyweight fight under his belt, and he gets a fast track to the heavyweight title against Nikolai Valuev. All right, now, whether you think he won that fight or not, I personally think that Nikolai Valuev squeaked out. It was a boring fight or whatever. I thought he squeaked it out, but it was close enough. I'm not going to call it a robbery. I give David Haye credit for beating that monster. I give David Haye credit for hurting him. No one else up to that point had hurt Nikolai Valuev. So I give David Haye credit for that, and he obtains the WBA World Heavyweight title. He follows that Nikolai Valuev win. So keep in mind, he fought Monty Barrett, who at the time had a record of 34 wins, 6 losses. He fights and beats Nikolai Valuev, who many of us thought was nothing more than a circus act. But granted, he going into that fight only had 1 loss. He was 50-1. He follows that up with a former world champion, John Ruiz, who is way past his prime, and beats him. He fights Audley Harrison, who many believe to this day was a fixed fight, beats him. Then he has the famous Toegate fight where he chased around Vladimir Klitschko from the time he turned pro in 2008 until he finally fought Vladimir Klitschko in 2011 and lays a stinker on us, all right? He cries about his toe, puts his toe on the thing, fine. The Derek Chisora fight in 2012, in July of last year, I admit, I felt that it was his best performance as a heavyweight. It may have very well been his best performance as a fighter. And when you look at his whole body of work, do you realize that David Haye has fought 28 total fights? 6 in the heavyweight division, but 28 total fights in his whole career as a pro. He's got less than 120 rounds as a pro, 119. You're talking about Vladimir Klitschko that's got 235. You know, how this guy, and T, you know I respect your opinions and views and stuff, but how you feel that he automatically deserves this shot is beyond me. And just because you think that he's talented and everything else, there's so many other heavyweights that deserve the shot more. Listen, you know, I'm not saying that that Tomasz Adamek could beat David Haye. I don't know. I would like to see that fight. But you know what? Tomasz Adamek paid his dues more than David Haye in the heavyweight division. You know, Chris Arreola, up until this last where he's been out of the ring, absence from the ring, he paid his dues. You know, I mean, even Tyson Fury, you know, I think deserves a shot more than David Haye. Tyson Fury's been a heavyweight his whole career. You know, if you want to look at young guys, you got Bryant Jennings. You know, I can't. You know, I'd like to. Let me just say this before you get mad. I like the road that David Haye is traveling right now. I like the fact that he's looking to fight in June or July, whenever it is, against the top guy. And should he beat one of these top 10 or even one of our top 15 fighters, and he beats him decisively, then I'm okay with seeing him fight Vitaly Klitschko. No problem. You know, if he does that route, I don't have an issue. I really don't. That's all I've asked. But this guy is yet to do that. He's never had to fight his way into a contender, like a mandatory contender spot. He's talked his way. He's mouthed his way. And I think finally the Klitschko brothers, especially after the Vladimir destroyed him the way he did, or just dominated him. He didn't destroy him. He dominated him the way he did. I think they finally said, hey, listen, take the same path as anybody else that wants to fight us. You know, get active in the division, get a couple of wins, and we'll make it happen. That's what David Haye is attempting to do at this point. He's, let's see who he picks. But to say that he automatically has to fight Vitaly right now, that Vitaly actually, what you're saying is Vitaly actually has to fight him, I totally disagree. Totally disagree. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break, and my man T. Bruce has a comment on Bam Bam Reels, which is another shocker. Another shocking comment, but that's going to come up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I
would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have Fight Now in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the Fight Now television channel and how you can get it on your sports channel lineup, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. We want to welcome the Fight Now audience joining us like they do every day. And we're in the middle of a couple of emails. We got the mailbag open. And speaking of emails and phone calls and all of that, if you like to drive the discussions on this show, then you need to become part of the new show, Billy C's Talk to Me, man. It's airs live on Mondays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on BillyCBoxing.com. So check that one out. My man T. Bruce had just made a comment about David Haye. I normally I agree with T. I disagree with his opinion about David Haye, but we value his opinion. He feels that David Haye deserves an immediate shot, that Vitaly Klitschko has to fight him. He's the only good opponent out there, blah, blah, blah. I disagree, but I do give him this much. We put an asterisk next to it. If David Haye does fight and win a legitimate top 10 contender, and I don't mean one of those made-up contenders, like all of a sudden Joe Schmo ranked at number 8. You never heard of him. He fights him. No, I mean, one of our top 10 or even one of our top 15. Then you can check out our rankings. We just posted them this morning. T's second point is about Bam Bam Rios. He says, as far as Rios, I hate how Arum has him ducking legit opponents and matching him up with fighters that will walk into his punches and make for an exciting matchup. You can't manipulate a fighter's resume by having him duck legitimate opponents just because that fighter is not able to beat certain styles. Boxing doesn't work like that, to me, meaning to T. He says he has to fight the best. Some fights will be good, some will be bad, but this is what's wrong with boxing. All along, I knew that the Alvarado fight was a meaningless fight for Rios, but I told myself, hey, at least it'll be exciting. What made me mad is that Alvarado didn't recklessly walk into the punches like he did in the first fight. He ran in boxing. It was nothing except holding, running, grazing shots, idiotic chasing from Brandon Rios. He says, I didn't tune in to watch a bum figure out how easy it is to outbox Rios. I turned in to see two bums fight each other. I turned the fight off by the 10th round. I was tired and my favorite cartoon was coming on. I hate how people will associate this fight with the first one and automatically say this was a fight of the year. was a sloppy display of boxing by Mike. It's one thing when you tune in to watch a slick, smooth boxer do work. It's another when you tune in to watch two bums make a fire show, and one of them ends up doing ugly, tacky, sloppy, non-smooth boxing. Alvarado was effective, but it was unexpected, and it was a boring fight. The Bradley fight was much better. I don't know what to tell you, man. I disagree 100%. I thought it was an extremely exciting fight. I did not see two bums fighting at all. I think you've drinking the Floyd Mayweather slick boxer Kool-Aid BS. Whether you want to give these guys credit or not, that's up to you. But as far as I'm concerned, Bam Bam Rios did display some boxing ability. Mike Alvarado clearly displayed some boxing ability. They are both come-at-you fighters. Rios, in case you didn't notice, Rios is very proficient at being able to land short, snappy, hard punches while he's in your face. Very accurate when he lets his hands go. He did have a pretty crisp jab. In case you didn't notice, he staggered Alvarado with that stiff jab. As far as Alvarado's concerned, he, too, displayed some boxing ability, circling around and controlling the fight with Rios. Yeah, it wasn't a slick boxing display like we saw in the previous fight when Terrence Crawford utilized his boxing ability, the sweet science, if you will, against an overrated one-dimensional fighter like Brendan Prescott. But I totally disagree with you. And as far as Brandon Rios having a weak opposition, again, I took a look at his resume. Now, his first 24 fights was just like any other young fighter coming up. Keeping in mind he was in the lightweight division. He fought progressively harder and harder opposition. Along the way, he picked up a draw against Manuel Perez back in 2008. When he did fight for his first title, the NABF lightweight title, he fought a tough opponent named Jorge Luis Terán, who was only once beaten at the time, and he too is a boxer, and he stopped him in 3 rounds. When you look at who he fought from that point on, that was a tough fight against Terán. He fought Anthony Peterson. We saw that was a great fight. Peterson knows a little about boxing, I would think. He did have kind of an easy fight against Omri Lothar. But then after that, he had that great fight against Miguel Acosta, Urbano Inteleon, John Murray, the Richard Abril fight. Come on, you're going to tell me that he put him in with a guy that walks into his punches? Richard Abril did not walk into any punches. As a matter of fact, a lot of people feel he won the fight. Mike Alvarado, those 2 fights with Mike Alvarado, the first one might have been in a phone booth, no boxing display at all. But the one this past week was clearly a display of a little bit of everything. Was it sweet science? No. Does Bam Bam Rios, have a lot to learn? In my opinion, he needs to learn how to move his head a little bit, get a little better with defense, and I think he's a complete fighter, as is Alvarado. I think they were evenly matched, and dude, I don't know what happened to you, but you're totally off base. In my opinion, I respect yours. Keep up the good work. We got I got Justin in here cooking breakfast, getting ready to he's listening to the show. He's in the chat room cooking breakfast. I can't believe it. Do you guys do you believe the email? The guys in the chat room right now, I mean, do you think that Rios Alvarado fight was boring? You turned it off in the 10th round? I mean, come on, man. Come on. I don't know. I think that he's just mad at me and he took it out on his television set. I don't know. My man Tony Treem, who's going to be joining us in a little bit here. He's going to be joining us in about 15 minutes. Yesterday he made this point, and he wanted me to mention it again today about the weigh-ins. And since we're talking about Rios and Alvarado, he's a little, and I made this point on the Talk to Me Man show, so he wanted me to talk about it on this show. He's a little uptight about the weigh-ins and the fact that, we're doing these weigh-ins the day before, and it's kind of become who can dry out more and have the advantage the next day. he feels that weigh-in should actually be done on the day of the fight so that we have legitimate weight fights. In other words, if they have to weigh 147 on fight day, then guess what? You got a true welterweight in there. Not like these guys who weighed 140 for the weigh-in, and come fight night, they're weighing 156. So you got a middleweight in there. I agree with Tony. Like Justin is in there now saying boring, referring to the fight this weekend. He's like, no way, and he's making breakfast, So, the bottom line is, I kind of would like to see same day weigh-ins. To be honest with you, I covered a fight this past weekend up at Turning Stone in Verona, New York, and I was amazed at a light heavyweight fight, the co-main event. If you guys caught it on Friday Night Fights, the co-main event, Umberto Savion was Savine, or however you pronounce his last name, looked like he was twice the size of Jackson Jr., who they both weighed in at 175 on the nose. And fight night, I don't know how much additional weight Jackson Jr. put on, but let's say he put on 5 pounds. Maybe he was 180, but Umberto Savine, he looked like he was 200 and something pounds. I mean, unbelievable. I was amazed at the size difference, and it wasn't just like water weight. I mean, he was bigger. He had more muscle tone. His legs were twice the size. I don't know. I can't see how they weighed the same. And Tony makes a great point. He really does. And I personally would like to see the same day weigh-ins myself. My man Marcus Atavia says, a few idiots have told me that Alvarado ran. Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, same thing with, the email we just got from, what's his name, T. Alvarado didn't run. I don't know. He says, casual fans don't know what lateral movement is. He says it was a good win. It was a very good fight, of course. I agree with you, Marcus. And I think the norm, I think the norm feeling, the common feeling out there with boxing fans is that it was a great fight. Early fight of the year candidate, no doubt. So was the Bradley. Hey, the Bradley fight was also, and Prelagnikov was also a great fight. Two different fights, man. Bradley did show better boxing ability, but he's more of a boxer. I don't know. Marcus goes on to say middleweight number 1, of course, is Sergio Martinez, but Triple G is certainly number 2. There's a huge talent gap between Triple G and guys like Quinlan, who are fun to watch but don't have that next level of skill. Quinlan's talent, it has a ceiling, and we can see it. Marcus, thanks for the email, and I agree with you. As a matter of fact, you can check out our rankings. We have the new rankings up, and I did notice that we moved. Now, we did have Sergio Martinez at number 1. We had Chavez Jr. at number 2. We had Triple G at number 3. Well, that's changed now. We got Sergio Martinez at number 1, Triple G at number 2, and Chavez Jr. Sits at number 3. As far as Peter Quillen, just to give you an idea where he sits, we got him at number 7. Middleweight division has got a lot of competitive fights in there if they fight each other. So I agree. Triple G is at number 2. And, I'd love to see a Sergio Martinez Triple G fight. I'm not so sure. I haven't heard any discussions about that. As a matter of fact, I haven't heard many people even mention a matchup between Sergio and Triple G. To tell you the truth, I know that Sergio and Chavez Jr. are going to be looking for their second fight, because of the money and all of that. But Triple G would be nice. It would be nice. We got another email. The last one here is by my man Kieran. He says, hasn't Robert said his reason for the gun? Okay, this is Robert Agos Guerrero in the gun situation. Hasn't Robert said that his reason for the gun a few times in interviews on your side of the pond? He says, I'm sure I've read his reason already, and it makes this whole thing even more stupid. He says in Boxing News, which is a weekly publication in Europe, he says his statement was that he was traveling to the photo shoot and they were going to take pictures of them and his wife suggested he take a gun because he's a hunter and it would look cool. Robert agreed, and that's why the damn thing was flown out there without bullets and why he took it. Kieran says, unbelievable. He couldn't get one locally or even a movie prop like Tommy Hearns did all those years ago on the magazine cover. And he's got another comment, which I'll read in a second. Actually, it's not another comment. It's the link of the Triple G fights. He was just talking about that. We were talking about this yesterday on the Talk to Me Man show. Listen, if that is the case, and I was saying this yesterday, I mean, come on, man. Come on. This has to be one of the stupidest things anybody could do. Yeah, if you missed the Talk to Me Man show yesterday, I went off and started humoring myself and chuckling at my own jokes and stuff. But I was making comments like, you can't even get onto the airplane with a nail clipper. I mean, think about it. You can't get on an airplane with a big bottle of shampoo. You can't get on the airplane with a bottle of water that is sealed. You can buy a $9 bottle of water as soon as you get through the metal detector, but you can't carry on a bottle of water. All right? I don't care what airport you are in the United States. It's all the same. You got a nail clipper in your bag, and they're going to make you take it out. You got a money clip that's got a nail file on it. You can't bring it. I'm surprised they let you bring a pen. Because in jail a pen is a viable weapon. And he thinks he's going to be able to get a gun on board. What happened is it's stupidity because each state is different. And Tony Treem actually called and felt that it was the airline's fault. Because when he flew out of Las Vegas, he followed the state of Nevada's protocol. He went up to the window, said, here's a gun. I'm bringing it with me. I'm traveling with it. There's no bullets. There's no bullets in the magazine. And here it is. They check it in. They take it from him. They put it in on the plane as storage or whatever. They didn't hand it to him. He didn't have it in his seat. And when he picks up his luggage, as soon as he grabbed that bag of luggage in the state of New York, he was illegal. Why? Because he doesn't have a license to carry the gun in New York. End of story. Now, if the coppers knew that while he was getting his bag, he could have conceivably been arrested right there in the airport or in the cab or on the street or in the limo, whatever. All right? But nobody realized that he had the gun unregistered until he went through the same protocol as he did in Las Vegas, went up to the Delta counter and said, here you go, I have a gun. It's unloaded. There's no bullets. Here's the magazine. Here's the gun. Store it. And the lights went off, and the cops came and they arrested him. Because he does not have a permit to carry the gun. So if this is indeed true, that they decided they want to use this gun for a photo shoot, which was brought up to us yesterday, I agree with what Kieran's saying. Why not let somebody supply the gun, like the photographer or Showtime or whoever's doing this shoot? Why not use a prop? Why bring a gun? And by the way, if you're a hunter, you're hunting with a pistol. I mean, I've hunted before, but I'm not a hunter. Years and years ago, I have a hunting rifle, but I haven't shot in probably 30 years. But my point is that if you're gonna hunt, how many hunters hunt with a pistol? You hunt with a rifle. So if you wanted to show you're a hunter, don't you have a rifle? A rifle. He could have technically a hunting rifle with no bullets and no magazine in the same scenario. He has no problem with. He has no problem with that. It's a pistol that you got the problem with. If he shipped an unloaded rifle that he could show ownership to, which means he has a paper trail to show that he bought it, serial numbers match, and all that stuff, and it was in a rifle case, and he shipped it, and it was transported through the baggage and everything else. And he did the same scenario. He does not get arrested in New York. It was because he had a pistol. That's the problem. And because he had an unregistered pistol. Stupid. There's no other way around it. It was stupid. You just can't. Listen, I like Robert the Ghost Guerrero, but it was stupid. I was critical of the DA for treating him with disrespect and having, a derogatory comment and everything else. In case you forgot, the DA says, I hope he fights better than he thinks. He didn't need to do that. But he was right. I'm not going to disagree with what he was thinking, but you just, New York gets a bad name because they don't treat anybody with respect. Authority people don't. Cops don't. The government people don't. Anybody that's got authority in the state of New York, they treat everybody like garbage. Athletic commission people. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Tony Treem's going to come up in a minute. We got Manny Pacquiao. Now, show of hands out there. How many people caught the story last week and the week before that Juan Manuel Marquez said there will not be a fifth Manny Pacquiao fight? How many? Okay, guy in the back. Okay, there's a bunch of you. We all saw it. Right? Well, it was announced through the Associated Press this morning, so it didn't even hit the website yet, maybe by now. But this morning, Associated Press released a statement that Manny Pacquiao's next fight will be in China, either Manchu or Manchao or Singapore, and his two possible opponents are, you guessed it, Juan Manuel Marquez or Timothy Bradley. Bob Arum is over there right now for the big fight. Really, Justin says that he hunts with a pistol. I never heard of. I'm not a hunter, but I never heard of some. I mean, what do you freeze? What do you? I mean, is that what you do? When you're hunting with a pistol, I mean, you see a deer and you just freeze, you son of a! I'm gonna blow that antler right off your head. I mean, is that what you do? What do you mean you're hunting with a pistol? I used to know hunters that carried a pistol in case they had to, put a shot in his head to put him out of his misery or something after they fall him. But come on, man. Come on. Justin's laughing at me. But anyway, getting back to, it's crazy. You whip it. And that's one thing. I'm not a big Governor Cuomo fan, but he really made even rifles now. You're not allowed to have more than 7 rounds in a clip, and some of the guys that were opposing the new law said, we need the guns, we need these guns. And Cuomo, which kind of makes sense whether you like him or not. He's like, how many bullets you need, man? How many bullets you need to, you don't need a machine gun to take down a deer. You don't need an AR-47 or something, automatic rifle to take down a deer. A shotgun, a rifle, 30-06, something like that. But anyway, who the hell knows? We will see what happens. But anyway, Timothy Bradley or Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez in China. It's supposed to be in September time frame. It's going to be announced soon. According to Bob Arum, he will not be fighting in Las Vegas anymore because of basically a boycott of what they call, and many people agree with, the Nevada State Athletic Commission's extensive fine to Julio Cesar Chavez for, smoking a joint. $900,000 for the joint, and $1.50 for performance-enhancing drugs. Where you can rip somebody's head off. You get a couple of $100 fine for that, and a suspension for 6 months, and you smoke a joint, you get a year suspension and almost $1 million fine. It's kind of comical. It is comical. And if they had, I was trying to stick up for the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Not that I agree, because first of all, pot is not going to enhance a fighter's ability to win a fight. I mean, come on, when a fighter goes back to the corner and he's asking for a bag of chips instead of a sip of water, maybe you start to think a little twice. But the other thing is he smoked it a week before or whatever. Regardless of the situation, I was in a sense sticking up for the commission because I said, well, they have a mandatory. It's they're charging a percentage of the purse. So he made X amount of money, so the percentage of that purse is this and that and the other thing. And when you figured it out, though, it wasn't. It was actually 1/3 of his purse, just about. He made $3 million, and they're taking $900,000 of it. So they're taking 1/3 of his purse. And then we heard recently of another fine that they imposed on someone for testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and it turned out to be less than 10% of the purse. So it almost seemed like Bob Arum was it's hard to say this, but he was correct. He was right with his comments that they were making up their own rules. I mean, who the hell is the Nevada State Athletic Commission think they are? The New York State Athletic Commission? I mean, there's no commission that makes up the rules along the way more than the New York State Athletic Commission. So I guess when you're a big commission and you think who you are, you get to make up your own rules. I do know one thing. The Nevada State Athletic Commission at least treats people with respect. Now, I don't know about this whole situation with Chavez. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that he had tested positive before, I believe, for pot. He also had the alcohol issue. So maybe, what we're not really hearing is that was part of the reason why that particular fine was so extensive. But nothing for nothing. Bob Arum says he's not going to be doing any shows. The Associated Press reported the reason why it wasn't going to be in Vegas, either the fifth fight with Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao, or Manny Pacquiao Timothy Bradley rematch, was because Floyd Mayweather got the date, something like that. But hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have my man Tony Treem, and Tony and I are going to talk about a heavyweight. We're going to do a heavyweight spotlight. We're going to talk about Kenny Norton. This was requested by one of you guys, the listeners. We are well open for all of your comments, thoughts, concerns. Feel free to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Or do yourself a favor, mark it down in a calendar. Tune in on Mondays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We do our live show, Talk to Me, Man. Now, we will not be doing it this coming Monday because we will be on site preparing for some shows and specials that we're doing all next week. So tune in to BillyCBoxing.com for the latest on that stuff. Hey, we're going to take a short break. When I come back, Tony Treem and another edition of our Heavyweight Spotlight. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
We're coming at you from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. And it's time for another episode of the Heavyweight Spotlight. And today, Tony Treem and myself are going to shine the spotlight on former world heavyweight champion Kenny Norton. And he's also a boxing Hall of Famer. And speaking of Hall of Fame caliber guys, Tony Treem joins me right now. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Billy. How are you, man?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. We got another request from a listener and a viewer, whatever we want to call him, somebody other than you or I, and
well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, let somebody else do all the thinking. We'll just do the talking. But Kenny Norton, a heavyweight, was always one of my favorites. A lot of people talk about Kenny Norton, and the first thing that comes into mind is his 3 fights with Muhammad Ali. And there's a lot of people that are boxing fans that feel he actually won all 3 of them. Before we get into that, start telling me. Tell me about Kenny Norton.
Norton was probably when Kenny Norton fought, he was probably in one of the toughest eras of the heavyweight division, in my opinion.
No doubt.
There's a lot of good heavyweights in there at that time, and he had some really tough battles, and of course the 3 fights with Ali, which was highly controversial. Most people say he won all 3 of them. I agree with that. A lot of people don't agree, but I agree with that he did beat Ali all 3 times. Highly controversial fights. His fight with Larry Holmes, his only title defense, went down in history as one of the final round was one of the best rounds in boxing history. Some say probably the 5th best round. They both, neither one would quit, and neither one was about to give in, and they both left their hearts in the ring that night. And it could have went either way. And of course, Larry Holmes got the nod, and Kenny Norton lost his heavyweight WBC heavyweight championship.
That fight, that Larry Holmes fight, another one that a lot of people feel that Kenny Norton got robbed in. It was a split decision, 15-rounder. Let's go back a couple of steps and reiterate on what you said about the era. Kenny Norton did fight in one of those, in arguably one of the toughest eras in heavyweight boxing history. And the one thing I always remember about Kenny Norton, Tony, is that this guy, and this is a weird statement because the old-time boxers, and going obviously way before, the 60s and 70s when Kenny Norton fought, but, they were always in good shape and stuff. But Kenny Norton, him and a guy named Ron Lyle, to me, when I remember watching those guys for the first time step foot in the ring, I was like, oh, my God, these guys have muscles on top of muscles. I mean, they were just so toned, and there were no machines back then that helped them, look like a Vander Holyfield or nutrients or other things that they put in their body. I mean, this was old-fashioned push-ups, sit-ups, running up and down mountains. Tell me about the kind of shape that Kenny Norton was in.
Well, Kenny was always in great shape. He was he was a Marine, and he was proud of that, signify. You know, and he was a 3-time world champion of the Marine Corps. But he all through his life, he was very athletic. He was a great football player. He was a great track star. In fact, they have the Kenny Norton Law back in Illinois. I believe it's in Illinois, where he went to high school, where they can't put you in more than 5 events. His coach put him in 8 events. He came in first in 5 events and came in second in 2 events, and he said that was too much. Kenny went to school in Missouri to be on a football scholarship, and he injured a shoulder, so therefore it ended his football career as a college player. But Kenny was always in shape, even as a kid. He was very athletic, and he was just a phenomenal guy that way.
Yeah,
I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's one way I can explain it.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. You know, as a kid, he was very athletic in all the sports, like you mentioned, and yeah, they do call that the Kenny Norton Law. He did get a scholarship to college, and he went off into the service and stayed in good shape. Boxed in the service as an amateur. Came out and turned pro right away, and you know, I look at him as the guy that, you know, did it the hard way. You know, he never really had a lot of money backing him, and you know, he had to fight his way into contendership, and then of course getting his first fight with Muhammad Ali. Now this was really, you know, he had worked his way up the ladder, fighting a lot of tough guys of the era in the early 70s by this point, and Muhammad Ali was already went through his little thing that you know, we all know that he went through, and he too was on his way back up, and these two guys met in 1973 for the first time for an NABF title, and that was, all 3 of those fights were great fights, but this first one, that was the one where Kenny Norton broke Muhammad Ali's jaw, right?
Yes, it is. He fractured his jaw. He sure did.
And
Yep.
I was going to say, you know, they talk about heart. You do have to give Muhammad Ali credit. It happened in the first round, and he went on to fight, you know, a 12-round fight. But again, you know, like you, I agree. You know, Kenny Norton, luckily he won this fight, but I thought he dominated it more than the scorecards indicated.
Yes, he did, and you know, and take nothing away from Muhammad Ali in that fight. Like you said, he got his jaw fractured in the first round, and he fought clear through to the end, to the 15th round. You got to give the man credit for that. But Kenny actually won that fight and on a split decision, and the second fight he lost on a split decision, which was controversial, and of course the third one we know was highly contested, and they say it's probably the 5th most contested fight of all times in the heavyweight championship division.
You know, that's funny because the first 2 fights were split decisions, and you know, we talk about this all the time about subjectivity in boxing, and you can almost, you know, say, oh, okay, they were close. You know, the first time Kenny Norton got the nod, the second time Ali got the nod, but the third fight, like you mentioned, and this was by the time Muhammad Ali had regained the heavyweight championship from Leon Spinks. He had won. He had won the fight. He had won the title from Leon, right? Or this was just before he fought and lost to Leon. That's what it was. Because what ended up happening was Kenny Norton got himself back in contention for the heavyweight title, and Leon Spinks decided to give Ali the rematch. But nonetheless, he fought Ali in that world title fight in 1976. And that was the only one that wasn't a split decision. That was a unanimous decision, all in Ali's favor. Tell us about that fight.
Well, it was Norton fought. Norton beat him in that third fight, Billy. I mean, it was the most controversial fight in the 5th most controversial fight in the history of the boxing history. I don't know what to say.
Well,
I don't know what to say on that fight. I mean, Norton won that fight. He outboxed. He beat Ali. I don't know what to say.
No, I know. It's funny because I remember watching a fight. I know this is not going to be about Kenny Norton, but I remember watching a fight with Ali, and I believe it was on Wild World of Sports. It was. I know I've talked to you about this, but it was in 1976, and he fought Jimmy Young. And I thought Jimmy Young beat Ali from one end of the ring to the other for 15 rounds, and I was shocked that they gave the unanimous decision to Ali, and you know, most people were of the mindset that you had to knock the champion out at that time, and I think that maybe that was the reason why the title didn't change hands. But after that fight, Kenny Norton had some good wins. He fought some good guys, including an undefeated Dwayne Bobbitt at the time, who people thought nobody could beat. He was a hot young prospect, and I mentioned Jimmy Young. He fought him in a tough fight and got himself in a position to fight for the title. And Leon Spinks decided to give Ali the rematch. And they subsequently awarded the WBC belt to Kenny Norton, and here he is, the champion, and he gets to make his first title defense against Larry Holmes. Talk about! I thought I had bad luck. I think Kenny might have worse luck than me.
Oh, that he, yeah. I mean, he was a bad luck guy. You know, God bless him. You know, you mentioned Dwayne Bobbitt. You know, he did knock out Dwayne Bobbitt, a Minnesota fighter. He was a great heavyweight back then, and that was one of the fighters that he fought for the title eliminator to become. And then he fights Jimmy Young, and then he becomes the #1 contender for the championship of the winner of the Ali Spinks fight, the first one. And of course, we all know Ali lost the fight, and Spinks became the world heavyweight champion. And then, like you said, they stripped Spinks of the WBC version of the heavyweight championship because he did not fight the #1 contender, which was Kenny Norton. He chose to fight Ali, like you said. And therefore, he becoming the first heavyweight champ to never fight for a heavyweight championship. And then he loses it to Kenny Norton. But Billy, I dispute that.
You mean he lost to
him being
Larry
the
Holmes.
only fighter to never win a title fight?
You mean okay? Why? What? Talk to me. What do you? What data are you?
Let's tell it like it is, Howard Cosell.
Yeah, let's tell
you
me the data.
You just mentioned earlier, in 1973, Kenny Norton fought Muhammad Ali for the NABF title of the heavyweight division.
Correct.
And he won in a 15-round split decision, and that's the fight where he fractured Muhammad Ali's jaw.
That was a 12-round fight.
Okay, a 12-round fight. Okay.
Okay.
He also fought. Correct me if I'm wrong. He also fought Jerry Quarry and knocked him out in the 5th round for the NABA version of the heavyweight title. So to say he never fought and won a title is not exactly true. It's 90% true, I give you. I mean, the NABA is not a quote-unquote great title to hold, but it is a version, and if you're going to give all these guys credit today for these diamond belts and silver belts and belts in recession and gold belts and whatever belts they are, then why aren't you going to give Ken Norton credit for fighting and winning the NABA version, the NABF version of the heavyweight title?
Well, that title is a regional title, and it's not considered a world title. That the NABF is like the it's like one of the WBCs, or I can't recall if it's a WBA or WBC version. I believe it's the WBC version of their like regional title, like they have that today. So that's why they say that he never fought, never defended his world title, because remember he also fought George Foreman and got knocked out, and that was a world, that was both, that was actually the undisputed heavyweight title. And one of the other things that the WBC did when they stripped Leon Spinks and subsequently handed it to Kenny Norton for the eliminator against Jimmy Young was the fact that heavyweight title the world heavyweight title that really was in Muhammad Ali's hands, which he lost to Leon Spinks, and then the WBC split it, it would not be unified again until Mike Tyson unified it when he won all three of the major belts. So that's how long it went until somebody had all the belts. We had all those different champions along the time, which is kind of like the beginning of what we got to live through today.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and that was kind of the start of that era of the heavyweight champions being confusing, very, very confusing, and who is and who isn't a champion, who holds what belt, who holds what title, and everything. Up until then, we all knew who the heavyweight champion was, undisputed, and there was no question of who the heavyweight champion was, but. Back then, that's when it started. After Muhammad Ali's winning the title from Sonny Liston, and then his problem with the military and stuff, which we're not going to go into, and it has nothing to do with this show at all. And then him coming back, and a lot of people say that was Ali's best part of his career on his comeback, and that's when, of course, he fought Ken Norton, and he regained the title twice, and became the first man to win the title 3 times, and you got to give him credit for that. But Kenny Norton was the most unlucky fighter in the history of boxing, I think.
Now, why do you think, in your opinion, Tony, why do you think Kenny Norton gave Ali so much trouble? I mean, a lot of people look at Muhammad Ali as one of the greatest, if not, there are a lot of people that feel he is the greatest heavyweight of all time. Why did Ken Norton give him so much trouble? What was it about his style that just made for great fights with Ali?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. Kenny Norton hired a hypnotist named Michael Dean, and to be on his team, to get inside of Muhammad Ali's head. Ali was famous for his battering and getting inside your head before a fight. And Kenny Norton hired this Michael Dean, this Dr. Dean, which lives here in Vegas, by the way, and I've met him. He's a great guy. He's a funny guy. But to get inside of Ali's head, he didn't hypnotize Ken Norton. Don't go there. He gave him a book on the power of positive thinking. That's not the name of the book, but it was a motivational book that Kenny Norton read probably 100 times, he claims, when he was training, and it helped him, gain inner strength and motivation for him to get up and fight. But he hired this Dr. Dean to go to where Muhammad Ali went and just taunt him in the audience, and agitate him. And it did. It did agitate Ali. And Ali talked to him, had him come on a show. I forget what show it was on, but I've seen the clips on it several times where, he was telling Ali, how he just doing what he does, and Ali wasn't going to buy that. So that was a lot of the stuff going on with the Norton fights. Norton played the same game that Muhammad played, and it kind of got to Ali in a way. It didn't get to him where, he was afraid of Norton or anything, but it kind of got to him, and so therefore Norton kind of had an edge on Ali in that.
Well, Kenny Norton did have some knockout power, and he could box. I mean, this was a guy that kind of did everything well. I mean, he wasn't, although his knockout ratio, was a great one. I mean, over 66% knockout ratio in all the rounds he fought. He had 33 of his 42 wins were by knockout, but he could box too, and he was susceptible to being hit. Of his 7 losses, he was stopped 4 times. How did that, Muhammad Ali obviously has, he fought some punchers and got out with W's. The 2 big names, obviously, 3 big names: Ernie Shavers, Frazier, and of course George Foreman. But Kenny Norton, I think, posed something different, something that Shavers and Frazier and George Foreman didn't have, and that was a combination of things. The only thing I'm not 100% sure of with Kenny Norton, Tony, is I know he had a decent jab, I know he could box, I know he had some pop. How was his
beautiful overhand right?
How was his defense?
Well, his defense, he was kind of criticized for his defense, and he lost going to the Pan Am Games because of his defense. He said it wasn't international enough. He kind of used that clamshell. I call it a clamshell. I don't know how else to explain it. That Archie Moore style, crossing his arms,
yep,
and for a defense where you couldn't hit him, and they kind of criticized him for that, but. He had a good defense. He was a great fighter, but he used that clamshell defense style.
It's funny. George Foreman, who had no defense at all in his first career, and then when he came back, he used that. He incorporated that as well. And I remember nobody could really hit him the second time around. But yeah, Kenny Norton. All in all, he walked away. His last fight, he did make another shot at another run at a possible rematch with Larry Holmes. He rattled off a couple of wins. Did get stopped by big Ernie Shavers in one round, and had a couple of fights. His one fight that people thought it was an indication that his career was over was the Randall Tex Cobb fight, because he struggled with Tex Cobb, and not that Randall wasn't a tough guy, but he in his younger days, Kenny Norton would have dispatched of Randall Tex Cobb pretty quickly, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, he would have. Ernie Shavers, undoubtedly the hardest puncher in the history of the heavyweight division. Kenny didn't have a chance with him. I mean, Shavers just hits too hard, and I think he knocked Kenny out in the first round, didn't he?
Yeah, it was the thing about Ernie Shavers was that as hard as he hit, he was susceptible. If you could land a shot to him, you had a chance at beating him, and generally that's how he lost. But if you couldn't get that punch off, you ended up most of the time knocked out, like Kenny Norton did. But his last fight was against a young, up-and-coming Jerry Cooney, and he knew it was time to say when, and he was knocked out in the first round in that one. And then his life after boxing was kind of successful. I mean, hasn't it been? I know his health is questionable now, and I know he put out a book, but do you know what he did after boxing?
I really don't, Billy. Kenny's not one that I really followed, and I apologize to the listeners for that. I really didn't follow Kenny's career. I know he was his greatest title, according to him, that he ever had was being called Dad. He was a good family man. His health is not bad. He's in the hospital here now in Vegas. He had another stroke. He can't speak. We're not going to have him much longer. He's going to be going pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a shame because he did do some announcing. I know. I remember him doing some announcing with some fights, and I think he dabbled in acting and stuff. And for the most part, he was pretty successful. His son, Ken Norton Jr., played professional football for the Dallas Cowboys. The one thing I like is he came up with some pretty decent quotes in the sport of boxing. And I never realized this until when I was preparing for this segment. I didn't realize that his quote was that statement that age is a state of mind was actually coined by Kenny Norton. I didn't know that. Did you?
I read that a long time ago. I'd heard that, but I forgot about it. That's a good point. Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I got to meet Kenny Norton one time. It was long after his career was over, and it was up at the Hall of Fame when he was hawking his book. And it was before he had all the health problems. And then I did get to see him last year, or maybe it was the year before, when he was in some rough shape. But I hope we can hold on to him as long as possible. But it's not looking too good, is it?
No, it's really not. He can't speak at all now, and his wife Rose is up there every day with him, almost around the clock. And it's pretty sad.
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, Kenny Norton, a heavyweight spotlight on him today. Former world champion. He challenged for the world heavyweight title a couple of times. He had a career record of 42 wins, 33 coming by knockout. 4 of his losses. I'm sorry. He had 7 losses, 4 of which he was stopped. The only guys that ever knocked him out were some pretty hard punchers. Jose Luis Garcia knocked him out early in his career, so that one you kind of give him a pass on. But then the only other three was a young power punching Jerry Cooney, Ernie Shavers, and Big George Foreman. So, you can't really knock the guy for being stopped. He was a big heavyweight of his time, 6'3", which is kind of short today, but back then he was a pretty big dude. 314 rounds as a pro with a 66% knockout ratio. And another thing, Tony, about Kenny Norton, not only was he big, but he did have a pretty wide wingspan. His arm length was 80 inches, which was also pretty big. So, this guy was the complete package when you really look at, the nuts and bolts of Kenny Norton.
He was absolutely, Billy. He was, and he's not one that's always brought up. He's kind of like and I hate to compare him to this because it's terrible, but he's kind of like a Riddick Bowe. He's not one that that's talked about. And Riddick Bowe had a good record, but those are two in conversation. Those are two heavyweights that don't come up, and both were champions. They just don't come up in conversation much, and it's a shame. But Kenny Norton was a great fighter. He had he fought the best of the best out there when he was boxing, and you can't take anything away from him. And his last title fight was with Larry Holmes, and goes down in history as one of the best fights of all time.
Yeah, no doubt about that, and many people think he got robbed in that fight. And I think Riddick Bowe was a good comparison to Kenny Norton. I think Riddick Bowe had a little more hand speed, but I think Kenny Norton had a little more power. So I think they even up. And I would ask you one question. If Kenny Norton was active today in the same, frame that he was, the same guy, 6'3", 80-inch reach, and was the same Kenny Norton, you pluck him, you go back in time and grab him out of 1975 and throw him in the heavyweight division today, how does he fare against the Klitschko's and guys like that?
You're trying to get me in trouble with the listeners.
No, because I think, but this is
you're a bum.
No, it's I'm a bum.
You're just trying to, because I'm partial to the older fighters and the fighters in the past, and I always go with the older fighter because I thought the training was better, the fights were better, they were better conditioned, they were better fighters. I'm a product of the old timers. I'm not a product of the modern day fighters. And so I'm not probably being fair when I talk about the Klitschko's and the heavyweights of the day because they're the best of the era of this time. So you got to give them credit for that. But Kenny Norton, I think, with his boxing style and his power, I think would be although he's a little smaller and he was a little heavyweight, I think he'd give either one of the Klitschko's a great fight. I don't think that he could knock him out, but I don't think they'd knock him out either, and I think it'd be good fights.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is that I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I'm saying he was big enough to hold his own. I mean, you look at like Chris Arreola's 6'4", and he's a bigger guy, but Kenny Norton, was
Arreola.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Kenny Norton had so much more to his game. I mean, he was so much more versatile. And, a guy that's almost the same size that could move around and punch with some pop and was elusive to a degree. I don't know. I think it would be interesting. I think what I was getting at is I think that Kenny Norton, if he was in his prime today, I think he holds a belt. Whether he beats a Klitschko or not, I think he's got a belt. I think he's wearing. He could definitely beat Pacquiao. So I think he would have gotten a championship now and had many successful defenses should he have been fighting in today's era.
Oh, he'd beat Arreola, he'd beat any of the top contenders of today. There's no question about that. And yeah, you're right. He would be a belt holder. I agree with that. Now, whether he'd knock out a Klitschko or not, I don't know that he has the power to do that. I'm not going to say that.
They're just so big.
I think he'd beat a Klitschko by decision.
Yeah, they're just so big, man. I mean, 6'6", 6'7", 250 pounds. They're just so big. But Kenny Norton, we had the spotlight shined on him today. Another great heavyweight of yesteryear, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I got to take a break. Tony, it was great as usual, and look forward to the next time, my man.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, Tony. We'll talk later.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. I got to take a break. And listen, you know where to look for the heavyweight spotlight. Of course, BillyCBoxing.com. We'll be right back.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some net, coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have Fight Now in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple, man. They know about it. You got to call. Pick up the phone and call. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their very own website, www.fightnow.com. Kenny Norton. Tony and I were just talking about Kenny Norton. It's a shame that he's not doing that well. But, my point is that this is a guy that can clearly, he had it all. He basically showed it all. I just was wondering, how would he have done today in the heavyweight division? The bottom line is, this is a guy who, you look at his arm length was 80 inches, and that's actually pretty good because, I was looking at, when we had the email this morning from my man T, we were looking at Vitali, and I was shocked to see that Vitali is 6'7", okay, 6'7", and his arm reach is 79 inches. Kenny Norton was 4 inches shorter than him at 6'3", but yet his arm reach, his reach was 80 inches. So it makes that arm reach, it seems like maybe he does get in, maybe he gets in and nails a Klitschko. I don't know. He was a guy that, in my opinion, was pretty talented. There's no question about it. And I said to Tony earlier, he had bad luck. He had luck like me. He gets in these great fights and kind of gets robbed And the fights that he lost, he really lost. I mean, there was no arguing some of the losses. But anyway, the bottom line is this: the heavyweight division today could be, if you take the Klitschko's out right now, and you're taking them out of the mix. Let's just remove them from the heavyweight division. And I just told you can go up to our website right now, www.billycboxing.com, and check out the Billy C rankings. We just updated them this morning. And if you take number 1 and number 2 out, which is Vlad and Vitali, take any of the rest of our rankings, and we only display top 10 and then the next 5. So take any of those and mix and match them, and you're going to get a good match. It's just the Klitschko's that, make it a little uneven sometimes. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's what I want to see. And speaking of heavyweights, we got Tyson Fury. He's going to be fighting April 20th. And, I like Tyson Fury. They're trying to build this up. And, we're talking about Kenny Norton. And obviously the 3 fights that people always talk about him was against Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali was a guy who basically, set the pace, set the standard for how people and how specifically fighters like to self-promote or promote a fight. So they come out and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this to you. When I get you in there, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to do this and that, and I'm going to, hit you so hard your kids will be dizzy, or, I'm going to beat you up so bad your mother won't recognize you. You hear all of that stuff, right? And then the fight happens and none of that happens, and at the end they're hugging and kissing and they're best of buddies and everything else. Well, Muhammad Ali, he put it all on the map. He started it. Actually, he didn't, but he made it more calm and, because of television stuff. He didn't start it. There was a lot of smack talkers back in the day. But nowadays, that's all we hear. And we're certainly hearing it from Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury's, some people don't like his antics and stuff because he does shoot off his mouth quite a bit. And he's going to be fighting Steve Eustace Cunningham on April 20th at Madison Square Garden. At the little arena there, not the main arena, but I think it's a big test for Tyson Fury. Not that I'm that crazy about Steve Eustace Cunningham. As far as a heavyweight goes, I just don't think he's going to be a player. Although I felt that he did actually get robbed against Tomas Adamek, and that fight gets different. And the bottom line is, if that fight is changed around, or if that decision goes the other way, the way our rankings work is that we would have had Steve Eustace Cunningham take over that number 4 spot, and all of a sudden he's in the top 10. As it is right now, we don't have him in our top 10. Despite I'm not going to take a robbery and give my subjective opinion and change a ranking for it. It has to be a ranking. It has to be a legit ranking. So, and to me, a legit ranking will result from an official win or loss. So that's just my opinion. Speaking of wins and losses, former junior flyweight champ Giovanni Segura. Now, you've heard me talk about Giovanni Segura. I love this kid. I just, he's just an exciting little fighter. You just can't, he's small, which means a lot of people don't follow the smaller guys, but this guy is an exciting fighter. He was off for a little while. He had lost to Brian Valora. He came back and won his comeback fight. Now it's looking like he's going to be fighting on May 25th. And it's not signed, sealed, and delivered yet, but it's very close to being signed that he's going to be fighting Edgar Socha. That's right, May 25th in Mexico, I believe. That's where the fight may happen, or in California. I'll keep you posted on that. But May 25th is the projected date. Giovanni Segura returns to the ring. 29 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. 25 of his 29 wins coming by knockout. And Ed Gasosha, we all know he's a former world champion, and he's got a very successful record, 48-7 with 29 knockouts. So that would be a good little matchup for sure, in my opinion. Anyway, I think it would be anyway, but we'll have to wait and see if it becomes officially official on May 25th. What is official is next week. Rico Ramos returns. Now, I keep reminding you guys to tune in right here on BillyCBoxing.com this weekend coming up, and next weekend we're going to be broadcasting. I'm going to be doing the blow-by-blow from a show in Miami. It starts, I believe, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then next weekend we'll be in Fernandina Beach in Florida doing another live broadcast. But also on Friday, April 12th, Rico Ramos is moving into the main event in a featherweight contest against Oscar Gonzalez on ESPN's Friday Night Fights. As you know, the last couple of fights on ESPN have been messed up and been changed and all that stuff, and this was one of the new ones that took its place. So Friday Night Fights, Rico Ramos returns to the ring, 21 wins, 2 losses, 11 coming by knockout, and he's scheduled to take on Gonzalez, who has a respectable record, but he's nothing special, to be honest. Let's call it spade a spade. 17 wins, 2 losses, 13 knockouts. The co-main event, Farah Enos, 20-1, is going to be taking on Francisco Sierra, who's 25-7-1. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a decent fight, and the only reason why I say that is because Enos, he's had some easy fights, and Francisco Sierra is a real deal. I mean, this is a guy, that comes to fight. There's no doubt about that. And hey, now, correct me if I'm wrong. One of these guys in the chat room probably know the answer, but wasn't Francisco Sierra the guy that was like bleeding to death on the Joe Cortez? Ironically enough, Joe Cortez was the referee, and Francisco Sierra, I believe it was him. It was one of the Sierras. He is bleeding all over, and he couldn't figure out, should he rule it a headbutt, should he rule it a punch. Meanwhile, the guy's like losing quarts of blood on the ring ape, on the right on the mat. But anyway, Rico Ramos, April 12th, back to the ring, and we'll be looking forward to that. Personally, I'll be looking forward to more of Giovanni Segura. So May 3rd. Unbeaten Mexican Olympian Francisco Vargas. He's 15-0 with a draw with 12 knockouts. He is from Mexico. He fought as a Mexican Olympian in 2008. He's now living in Los Angeles, California. He's going to be taking on Jose Acuña, who's 33-0. And we'll see what happens there. Now, Acuña is a fighter out of Oxnard. Now, we all know the Oxnard fighters have been pretty competitive of late, so we'll have to wait and see how that one transpires. So that's scheduled for May 3rd, so we'll keep you up to date on that. The WBF is continuing being in the news. I constantly find myself talking about these guys. For all these fights, I mean, they're actively becoming a player in the major sanctioning bodies, and they announced that there's going to be another fight this weekend, and it's a regional title. Gunnar Jackson is 15 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, 5 of his wins coming by knockout. He's in the super middleweight division, and he's going to be taking on only once beaten Adrian Tahaya. And Tahaya is got a record of 8 wins, 1 loss, and a couple of draws with 4 knockouts. It's going to be taking place in New Zealand, and the WBF Oceania fight is going to be on the line. And with that fight, I'm thinking about adding that one to the Billy C Challenge. It is a tough one. It's not going to be a layup fight, so I'll probably be adding that one. Now, don't forget, we got the fights that are coming from China. Now, they will be on HBO 2 on Saturday. Friday Night Fights has a couple of. They have different guy. The one I just announced. What is this? Did that change? Is there that's the 12th. This week we had the other changed fight on ESPN. Jonathan Maciello against Rustam Nukayev. That's going to be on Friday Night Fights this week. On Saturday, you got the Rocky Martinez against Diego Magladano. Magladano finally getting his world title shot in the junior lightweight division. Rocky Martinez, Rocky Martinez, just got out of that his last fight with luckily to have a draw. So we'll have to wait and see how he does on the flip side of a controversial win. Diego Magladano is a young, up-and-coming, hungry fighter. This fight is taking place in China. We also have the debut of the biggest thing in China since they invented the fortune cookie, and that's the Zhao Ming. He's going to be fighting there. There's also a couple other fights. We're going to put all of those on the challenge. Brian Valora, it's Zhao Shming is how you say it. Brian Valoria is also on that card against Juan Estrada. So I'm looking forward to those. Now, they're going to be on the challenge. Now, we talked about the challenge a little earlier. The other fights on the challenge will be, I am going to put the fights that I'm covering that will be broadcasting live on LDL TV from Ty Buren Promotions. We will be putting a cruiserweight battle on that. So keep an eye on that. Now, Paul Spadafora, one of the most wasted talents, in my opinion, the sport has seen. He's fighting, and we'll see what happens in his next fight. He's fighting this weekend as well. I don't think I'm going to put that on the challenge, but I will definitely be putting the HBO 2 one. Now, there's also another fight happening on Sunday, and that's going to be in Japan, and it's going to be a world title fight in the bantamweight division. We'll probably put that one on. That's WBA champion Koki Kamada going up against, now I apologize because I'm just going to murder this poor guy's name, but Pan Omumurlek Kaying Jim something. That is who's going to be fighting, and yeah, we'll have them on the challenge too. We also have a triple header on Monday. Shinuki Yakamana is 17-0, putting his belt up against the line against Malcolm Tunico from the Philippines. Toki Shuka Ikarashi, he's 17-1. He's going to be putting his belt on the line against Akira Yagashi. And Takashiki Moriora is putting his belt on the line, or actually taking a crack at the WBC Super Featherweight champion, Gamal Diaz. So 3 world title fights on Monday. They'll be on the challenge as well. So I'm going to be doing the Billy C Challenge, and that challenge will be this weekend. Now, next weekend we will not be doing a challenge because I'm going to actually be on the road. I am looking forward to that. On, let's see, when is it? Thursday, we have the Roseland Ballroom fight, and we'll be talking about that one probably tomorrow. But this is a fight I'll touch on real quick now. I wasn't happy with the opponents on this fight. And I'm not going to BS. I wasn't happy with the opponents that they picked. Lou's got some great fighters. This is a Lou DiBella card. He's got some great fighters now in his stable, including the 4 A-sides. Let's call them the A-sides of this card. Gabriel Presario, Yuri Foreman, Luis Davalli, and, Jojo Dan. The problem is that they're going up against guys that aren't going to give them much of a challenge, and the tickets aren't cheap for this. I think the cheapest ticket that you can get at the Roseland Ballroom is $40 or $50. It's going to be broadcast all over the place. Fight Now is going to have it live. Sports New York has it. then they replay it 100 million times and all of that stuff. It just doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. And to be honest with you, the Yuri Foreman fight is a 6-rounder. Now, granted, he's coming back from a knee injury and all of that. Come on, man. Come on. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I still can't get over my man T earlier. Criticizing the Bam Bam Rios and Mike Alvarado show, saying it was boring, and I don't know, man. Here's the thing, and I guess this is becoming more and more of a debate. I don't know if it's just on my show or if it's becoming across the board in boxing, but the sweet science, okay? Hit and not get hit. That's the universal definition. But let me ask you this: if boxing was broken into two types of boxing, like right now you have MMA, right? And MMA is pretty popular and everything else for whatever reason. Then you have boxing. Now let's say boxing was broken into two types of boxing, two different sports. One is called the sweet science of boxing, and the other is just called boxing. Or fighting, and you were still boxed, but it's called fighting. And the fighting was style fights like we saw Bam Bam Rios against Mike Alvarado, like we saw Timothy Bradley going up against Ruslan Prudognikov, fights like that. They're fights, they're fighting. Then you have the sweet science fights. The Floyd Mayweather fights, pick any one. They all go in there. The Terrence Crawford against Breeders Prescott, that goes there. The Mikael Vasquez fights, all of his fights. Which fights, if they were broken up like that, which fights would be more popular? Which ones would sell more live tickets? Which ones would sell more pay-per-views and all of that? Now, Floyd sells a lot of pay-per-views. But it's not because he's exciting. It's because he's got a cult following. That one half buys it because they're a cult following and they'd buy anything from the idiot. And then the other half buys it because they hate him and they want him to get beat up real bad. So, if you remove him from the mix and now you're just looking at, talented displays of the sweet science, not getting hit, not engaging, bouncing around, boxing, that type of thing. Or Bam Bam Rios against Mike Alvarado. What sells better? If you missed my interview with Harold Letterman, go back. It's under the hot interview section at BillyCBoxing.com. Go back and listen to it. I asked him that exact question and see what he says. And speaking of questions,
wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Alrighty then. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. They actually have 3 locations now, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan, and one on the Jersey Shore with Snooki. No, not with Snooki. But check them out. Listen, you can get all the information you want about Gleason's by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com. And click the Gleason's Gym banner. You can't miss it. It's at several locations on the site. And you click that little thing, and you get directed right over to Gleason's website. Or you can call Gleason's directly, 718-797-2872. 718-797-2872. Don't forget about Gleason's Fantasy Boxing Camp this year. August 22nd through the 25th. You regretted not going last year. Now's your chance. Get yourself some tickets now. It's all those days. It's at a resort in the Catskills. You could bring your family, bring your friends, whatever. But you can sign up and follow through the footsteps of a pro boxer, and it will culminate to a boxing performance that you get to put on. And as soon as you sign up, drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and let me know that you signed up, and I will make sure that Dax Khan follows you around and does a story about your experience at Gleason's Boxing Fantasy Camp this year for 2013. So definitely do that. And don't forget, when you call 718-797-2872, tell them Billy C sent you and demand a Billy C discount. All right. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being supplied to us by our very own trivia question guru, Henry Haskup. And Henry Haskup has a great question. And, I wish I had a nickel for every wrong answer I've gotten on this one because I'd be a rich guy right now. The question is, which world champion has the longest knockout streak in history? Which world champion has the longest knockout streak in history? Now, let me clarify this because I got some confusion. It's not the most knockouts as a champion. It's just that we're isolating him. He's a world champion, a former world champion that had the longest knockout streak in the history of boxing. If you know that answer and you're the first one to respond to my email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize. Which former champion has the longest knockout streak in history? Good luck to everybody. Email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing.com. Hey, if you missed it, visit that website, www.billycboxing.com, and where it says Wilderness, check it out. It's a new movie that's coming out about boxing, and it's a whole history about it and how you can get your name in the credits, be part of it. It's a Kickstart program. I think that's what they call it, or Head Start or Kickstart or whatever. Click that. You get the whole write-up, the whole nine, and you'll be glad you did. That's for sure. But, hey, it's easy. Just click it. I don't know what you got to do. Read about the movie, watch the clip, and you'll be a fan like I am.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble, and that is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099, 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. On this day, April 2nd, in 2005, Jean-Marc Mormac wins a 12-round decision over Wayne Braithwaite to win the World Cruiserweight title, and that took place in Worcester, Massachusetts, on this day, April 2nd, in 2005. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I got one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on the website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.